The hospital room was quiet, except for the soft, pitiful cries of a newborn wrapped in a worn blanket. Daniel sat on the edge of the chair, head in hands, too ashamed to look at the nurse. His wife had passed during childbirth just hours ago, and he had nothing, no money, no diapers, no crib, not even milk. Just grief, and a baby who needed everything. He had once been a carpenter, but layoffs and rising rent had stripped him of his tools and his dignity. Now, he stared at his son, his hands trembling. "I can't give you anything," he whispered, tears dripping onto the child's blanket. Across the hallway, a woman dressed in gray stood silently by the vending machine. She had seen the man in passing, never speaking. Her name was Evelyn, a retired midwife who visited the hospital to sit with lonely patients. She saw the sorrow etched in Daniel's face and the way he clutched his son like the only thing keeping him alive. She didn't speak. She simply walked away. Daniel noticed her go but said nothing. Probably just another stranger who didn't want to be involved. That night, as the lights dimmed and Daniel began humming an old lullaby his wife used to sing, a soft knock came at the door. A nurse walked in, wheeling in a brand new crib, formula, diapers, clothes, and a sealed envelope. "From someone who believes your son deserves a chance," she said. Daniel blinked, speechless. Daniel stared at the envelope in his hands, his fingers trembling. The items the nurse brought in looked expensive, far beyond anything he could ever afford. He hesitated before opening it, as if breaking the seal might wake him from a dream. Inside was a note written in neat, flowing script. "Your child is already rich, because he has a father who stayed. Use this to stand again. You are not alone." Beneath the note was a bank check, $10,000. Daniel's breath caught. His knees buckled, and he sat down hard on the bed beside his baby, clutching the envelope to his chest. Who would do this? And why? The nurse didn't say much else, only that the donor wished to remain anonymous. The next morning, Daniel asked the front desk if anyone named Evelyn worked at the hospital. They shook their heads. "No employee by that name," the receptionist said. Over the next few days, Daniel used the money carefully. He found a small apartment near the hospital, bought essential baby supplies, and even enrolled in a local training program to refresh his carpentry skills. The hospital social worker connected him with a parenting support group, where other single fathers and mothers welcomed him like family. Still, he never forgot the woman in gray. Each day, he returned to the hospital and waited in the lobby. He didn't know what he'd say if he ever saw her again, only that she had changed his life. Weeks passed. Then one rainy afternoon, he saw her. Same gray coat. Same quiet eyes. Daniel stood. His voice cracked. "Ma'am, was it you?" Evelyn smiled gently and said just 6 words that made him weep. "You didn't need money. Just hope." Evelyn didn't stay long. She simply nodded, patted Daniel's shoulder, and walked away again, vanishing into the hospital's sliding doors as quietly as she had appeared. But something inside Daniel had shifted. That night, as he fed his son by the dim light of their new apartment, he whispered, "I don't know who she really was, but I promise you this, I'll make her kindness count." Over the next few months, Daniel poured his heart into rebuilding his life. He completed the carpentry training program with top marks. He started taking on small projects, fixing porches, repairing furniture, building shelves for neighbors. Word spread quickly, there was a man in town who did honest work and never overcharged, no matter how little you had. But Daniel wasn't just building things, he was building trust, building stability, building a future. One morning, after dropping his now 6-month-old son off at the daycare that offered him a scholarship, Daniel spotted a worn flyer on a community board. "Help build a new shelter for single parents, volunteers needed." He froze. This was his chance. That weekend, he showed up early, toolbox in hand. The shelter's coordinator, a kind woman named Teresa, greeted him warmly. "We've had builders come and go," she said. "But we need someone who truly understands why this place matters." Daniel just smiled. "I think I do." He didn't tell her everything, about the hospital, or the envelope, or Evelyn. But he worked harder than anyone, often staying late, sometimes bringing his son in a sling across his chest as he hammered and sawed. Each swing of the hammer was a thank you. Each nail, a promise kept. And in every wall he raised, Daniel saw a reflection of the stranger's quiet gift, hope built into something real. The shelter opened on a bright spring morning, lined with balloons and laughter. Single mothers, exhausted fathers, and their curious children explored the freshly painted rooms. Daniel stood quietly near the entrance, his son on his hip, watching the joy unfold. A small brass plaque near the entrance caught his eye. It read, "Built with heart, Daniel and Son." His throat tightened. He hadn't asked for recognition. But the shelter staff insisted, saying, "You weren't just a builder. You reminded all of us why this place matters." During the opening ceremony, Teresa called Daniel forward to say a few words. He hesitated, unused to speaking publicly, but the moment felt too important to let pass. He took a deep breath and stepped to the small podium. "I didn't come from much. Just a broken heart, a baby I didn't know how to care for, and a kindness I still don't understand. A stranger saw me at my worst, and gave me enough light to stand. That's what this shelter is. A place where people can catch their breath, stand again, and maybe, pass that light forward." The room was silent. Then came quiet applause, rising into cheers. A few people wiped their eyes. Afterward, a woman approached him, young, frazzled, holding a newborn in a blanket. I don't have much," she whispered. "But I heard you might understand." Daniel smiled. He saw his old self in her eyes. "I do. Come inside," he said. "Let's talk." As he led her into the shelter, his son gurgled and reached for her baby, as if to say, "We've been there too." And in that moment, Daniel realized something simple, powerful, and true. Sometimes, the best way to repay kindness, is to become it. Months turned into years. The shelter thrived, and so did Daniel. His carpentry business expanded, no longer just a trade, but a mission. For every paying client, he took on a free project for someone struggling. A porch for a widow. A crib for a teen mom. A wheelchair ramp for a grandfather raising 2 grandkids. People started calling him the builder with a heart, but Daniel never let it go to his head. He just kept working, always with his son by his side, now a toddler with curious eyes and a laugh that warmed even the coldest mornings. One summer afternoon, the shelter hosted a community reunion. Families who had once come in hopeless were now thriving, nurses, teachers, store owners, all gathered to celebrate second chances. Daniel was helping set up tables when someone tapped his shoulder. He turned. It was Evelyn. Older now, slower on her feet, but unmistakable. "I heard what you've built," she said, her voice soft. Daniel's eyes welled up. "You gave me everything. I've wanted to thank you for years." Evelyn shook her head. "You did. Every child who sleeps safely here, every meal shared, every hand lifted, that was you. I just gave you the match. You made the fire." He hugged her tightly, no longer the man lost in grief, but a father, a giver, a builder of more than just walls. That night, as the sun dipped behind the trees and children played on the grass, Daniel sat beside his son and whispered, "One day, you'll ask about how we made it." He smiled. "And I'll tell you, a stranger believed in us, and we spent the rest of our lives making sure others felt that same miracle. Because sometimes, all it takes to change the world, is one silent act of love."